And here's a quote here from President Obama. He was in New York for a fundraiser last night, as many of you know, with the gridlock. Here's what he had to say when he was, though, talking to the donors about the campaign. If the election were held today, he said, I think it would be close, but I think we would win. And the numbers would seem to back him up, although he might be a little presumptuous, not just with the calendar, but with how narrow this race is. Today's Real Clear Politics poll average has the president up 2 points over Mitt Romney and still up 40 electoral votes, but as they say, certainly in that margin of error. And Mitt Romney, he's heading back to American soil tonight after a PR nightmare of a trip when it came to London, Israel, and finally Poland. And there's even more bad press waiting for him when he does touch down stateside, courtesy of the front cover of Newsweek. Andrew, this is not what any president of any party wants to hear when they've been talked about their bona fides for the Oval Office. You
get the feeling when Romney lands at Logan Airport in Boston, he's going to go right past the newsstands, yes, Rich, because he doesn't want to see this week's Newsweek cover, though you can bet his staff will. In it, writer Michael Tomasky calls Romney kind of lame and really annoying, but there you see the front cover. Romney, the wimp factor. Is he just too insecure to be president? Tomasky later in the article says off-key things, or says that Romney says off-key things, then apologizes, that Romney never takes his lumps, and asks if Romney ducks all the tough questions while campaigning. Questions like his tax returns or not doing interviews anywhere but on Fox. How can voters expect him to handle real challenges as president, Rich? All
right, let's get into this, and for that, let's bring in our panel. We're joined by T.J. McCormick, conservative radio talk show host, and Dominic Carter, of course, political journalist and author. TJ, I'll start with you. A wimp means a lot of things, but when you call a guy a wimp, usually that means that there's one thing he's not, and that's tough. And what you want from your president is he or she is going to have to make some tough decisions. They got to make decisions that affect not only the quality of life, but actually life and death decisions when it comes to men and women in the military. Is it a fair charge, the one levied against Mitt Romney?
I don't really think so. I think we can finally put to bed the whole idea of is or is not the mainstream media a tool of the Obama administration. I mean, this is getting really old really fast. For every single piece like this, you have another piece that says that Obama walks on water. No, I don't think it's fair. I think it's silly, and I think actually, you know what? The more this happens, the more that mainstream Americans see that sort of stuff on a cover of a magazine, I think it ultimately works against the message.
Dom, wimp's got a couple different connotations. One is it could be that the guy's afraid of a fight. But I think what they were getting at in the story is that he just doesn't like to face the uncomfortable stuff, like the hard questions, like the personal questions, whether it be about his tax returns, his years at Bain here, or answering stuff from media that's not going to be friendly to him. Is that a fair charge?
Perhaps. Let's face it, Richard. Mr. Romney is not the fastest one on his feet when it comes to rapid responses. But a wimp charge is going a bit far. And I hate to admit this, I really do, but you may be on to something because the writer, Michael Tomasky, is a personal friend, and Michael comes from far-left politics. So I don't know.
But first of all, I don't think Mitt Romney's a wimp. I think he's somewhat feckless in a lot of the things that he does or a lot of the positions that he's taken. But I think it adds to what I'll call the late-night comics viewpoint of what Mitt Romney is, which is he'll give you whatever answer you think he thinks you're looking for. He'll play to the people who are in the room. He doesn't want to say anything that's going to make anybody upset.
Which makes him a politician.
Well, right.
But also, you know what,
there's a way to do it that you don't stink of it.
To what our esteemed host mentioned, though. Romney doesn't go anywhere but Fox. Can we please now find the last time that Mr. Obama set foot in Fox? He avoids.
Maybe I got to use the right word, but if people don't know your core,
right?
You may not like Obama, but at least you know what he stands for right now. Okay, maybe he hasn't fought hard enough for it, but you know his positions. Romney, it depends on the office he's running for. It depends on where he is. Right. And I think the idea that you don't know where he is on issues of choice, you don't know where he is on issues of health care, you don't know. I can go down the list, we all know.
Sure.
That, well, I wouldn't say wimp's the right word that jumps to mind on it. That lack of a core of it, I think, is part of the argument. I want to get to our next issue, though, and that is about the tone of the campaign. Worries the president may be going too negative too soon here, throwing out any chance, Andrew, that he has of that whole hope and change idea from 4 years ago, that he's just any other politician. is the die already cast?
Well, the president's certainly hoping that it's not. The Times posed this question yesterday. Their story, Obama's team taking a gamble, going negative. President's ads have been 2-to-1 negative against Romney as opposed to positive or policy message spots. They asked, the Times did, whether going so negative so early will turn off more voters than it coaxes to vote for the president. But just hours after that article came out, Obama was, as you mentioned, Rich, in New York for a fundraiser, telling that same group of supporters that he intends to focus more on his policies and agenda for his second term than his campaign has done so far. Didn't rule out any additional negative ads, and he didn't specify what was going to be in that agenda. Yeah. But he did say voters in swing states need to know what's coming.
We know what is also coming. It's more talk about Bain and also more talk about those missing tax returns of Mitt Romney. I find legitimate issues. That said, if you were advising the president, has he gone too negative too soon, or is that the only way he's going to win?
That's the only way Mr. Obama is going to win a second term, and that is to define Romney before Romney has a full chance to define himself. If I were advising the president, I would say, Mr. President, on the stump, stay positive when you're talking to people, but when your campaign commercials, throw mud, throw mud, throw mud. And if he does that, he may win the election.
Agreed.
Who do you think's the more dangerous candidate for Mitt Romney when it comes to Obama? The nice, we can do it, let's all hold hands and be together, or the guy who's talking about everything but his mother in terms of the campaign trail?
The nice guy, because that's his brand. That's President Obama's brand. Hope and change, and his.
And if he gets ugly, it's just every other politician.
And also he doesn't do it well. It takes finesse, you know.
He doesn't do what well?
Go on the attack. He does it, I mean, he disseminates it, but he doesn't deliver it with finesse. You know, a guy like Bill Clinton, a real, true, unbelievable politician, boy, he can stab you in the back and give you a kiss on the cheek.
You get the idea Obama doesn't like to twist the knife.
No, he's not really. I mean, that's not his style.
He's not good at it. I think he does.
That's not his style. That's not his style up front. His style is let's have consensus. Let's get along with each other. That's how he rose to the top.
Right, but he didn't mean it, because then he came in.
He doesn't have to mean it.
Let me get to issue number 3. Now, believe it or not, and I'm sure Donald Trump believes, a question still persists about the president's religion. In Andrew, I can't believe we're about almost August here, and we're still talking about this. But you and I saw these poll numbers, and it blew me away. In 2012, people still don't know the answer to this question.
It's a little ridiculous. Pew Research Center just came out with a poll, and here are the results from it. First of all, 60% think Romney is a Mormon, correct. Only 45% correctly identified President Obama as a Christian, and there you see 17% still labeled him as a Muslim. So
okay.
So
I guess the question, and Don, I'll start with you and we'll go this way, is that because the misinformation campaign about Obama was so successful, or because people look at him and they say, Barack Obama, he's probably not going to my church?
Here it comes.
Remember, no, I am not going to say that because he's a black man. I am not going to say tonight that this is happening because he's a black man. I won't make that argument tonight, that a lot of this is race and that because he's a black man. I'm being sarcastic here.
Yes, I picked up on it.
but beeping from backing up.
Remember, here's the point I want to make. Most people don't pay attention to politics the way that we do. In fact, most don't pay attention until Labor Day? Is that the fair assessment? Yeah. So, they may notice the attitude, but when you have the name that the president has, if I'm Trump, here's why I keep raising this. Because it's working.
Okay.
It's working.
But you give a shot to the same question that he decided not to answer. Do 20% of the public actually think the president's a Muslim because the Glenn Becks of the world and the Fox News has propagated the stuff, Barack Hussein Obama and all the rest? Or is it because they look at him, they see his name, and they don't want to hear any different?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think there's a little bit of echoing the party line. I think there's a little bit of, you know what, I don't like this guy, so I'm going to ascribe other characteristics that I don't like about him. There's a reason why Michelle Bachmann's attacks on Huma Abedin had legs in the conservative media. It's because it's still a popular meme, and for a lot of Americans, Muslims are people not to be trusted. As sad as that is.
You talk to these folks on the radio quite a bit here? No, the folks who ascribe every bad thing that they can here, whether he's a sleeper agent for Al-Qaeda, whatever else, to the president.
I just had tweeted that. You've been following my tweets.
No, but I'm being serious.
Yeah.
Is this just what they want to hear, or do people legitimately believe this?
I really think that you have a couple other things at work here, or at play here. A, I would not necessarily ascribe to the idea that the man is necessarily a practicing Christian. If I was really to be asked, I would say that I think he's more of a secular humanist. That's really what I think he is. I think Americans...
He's gone to church a lot more than Ronald Reagan ever did as president.
By the way,
and everyone thought that he
we
was...
can count on this man. Look, have you ever seen a man more uncomfortable when he says the words, "My Lord and Savior Jesus Christ"?
Come on.
What? All right, you're asking about... here's the thing, though. Americans don't see this guy going to church. Americans don't see this. And also, look...
Richard, here's the answer. No matter what he does, no matter what this president does,
but in
they're
no
going to
way,
see him that way.
In
no
no
matter
way
what.
am I saying I think he's a Muslim. I'm not. You're asking me why would people somehow still think? Also, he wrote in his book about spending time in Indonesia, about praying the 5 times a day, and all of that the guy has dabbled, has had experience with Muslims. I'm just answering.
I know, but if 1 in 5 still, if less than half know he's Christian, and 1 in 5 still think he's Muslim after everything that's gone down, do you think it matters if he goes to church a few more times? You got people still believe in every conspiracy theories that he's not even an American.
I
guess my question is it the messenger or is it the message? Is it that enough people have said this that the stuff sticks? Or after 4 years, people aren't going to believe no matter what?
I think it's very possible people just have it in their mind. I don't think they're necessarily brainwashed. I think some people may just hold on to it.
Helps to hear it in the echo chamber.
The numbers shocked me at least.